Darren Companies, welcome back to Good Stories. We're at it for another month here of bringing you some good stories that will hopefully encourage you, bring you a little bit of joy, maybe even get your imagination going on the different ways that you can serve other people. And so to get us started, let me introduce myself. I'm Josh Haynes, and you are?
I am Oscar Mendoza still.
Still Oscar. Everybody knows, right? But there are new people, and so just kind of say hello and give you a face with the name. Why don't you just start us off, get us going?
All right. Well, so imagine going on an airplane ride to wherever you're going, and all of a sudden the pilot passes out.
That sounds horrible.
Yeah, it's a horrible, absolutely. So this is what actually happened. So Darren Harrison was a passenger in a Cessna Caravan single prop plane when the pilot became incapacitated. So I'm assuming that means he just passed out, died. I'm not sure. The story doesn't even say. So hopefully the pilot's okay after this. But basically he radioed in and said, hey, I don't know how to fly. And the pilot's, whatever's wrong with them. So Robert Morgan, an air traffic controller who also is a flight instructor, and I believe the story says he had like 1,200 flight hours. Mm-hmm. He was actually at lunch when he heard of the story and quickly rushed to the tower and was given the full details. Okay. When he asked Darren what his position was, the guy says, I have no idea. I see the Florida coast, but I have no idea. And so Robert calmly told him to hold his wings level and to begin descending at a slow rate. Robert had never flown this particular model of airplane. Okay. But what he did was he got pictures of it so he could look at the flight instruments so that he could be familiar with the type of airplane that Darren was finding his predicament of flying in. And in between the radio calls, he was coordinating between another air traffic controller at Palm Beach. What does it say? Palm Beach airstrip. Basically, they wanted to give him a bigger landing field for him to have a bigger target to hit. Fortunately, Darren was able to land this plane. Mm-hmm. The Palm Beach Tower, and I thought this was funny, the Palm Beach Tower controller told a waiting pilot, you just witnessed a couple of passengers land that plane. And he's like, wait, come back. That was a great job if that was passengers that landed that. They were able to, Darren and Robert were able to meet afterwards. He calls Darren the real hero because he's the one that had to actually land that airplane. Yeah. Darren was just happy to get back to his pregnant wife.
Yeah. Man, that is crazy. And that's you talk about like jumping into a moment of need. Like, wait, what's going on? Okay, let me go help,
Yeah, I mean, I'm assuming that both of them, through all this, just remained calm. Mm-hmm. And they said that when he landed, the plane landed like pretty smooth.
Okay, let's be honest. Do you think they remained calm throughout all of it?
I mean, I know I wouldn't, but I knew I would want to do everything I could to land that airplane.
Yeah, absolutely.
So going above and beyond to get safely and a happy ending.
Yeah, very cool, very cool. Well, let me tell you my first story. I want to introduce you to Mildred Wilson. Okay. She is an 83-year-old lady. She is now a widow, but she has been running and now has finished her third Tough Mudder at 83. Now, if you don't know what a Tough Mudder is, it is this like crazy obstacle course, very cool thing it actually takes a lot of athletic ability and takes strength and different things like that to be able to work through these different obstacles over a lengthy amount of time, right? And it's really cool to see this lady who has dedicated herself to this. But behind all of that, what's really, really interesting is her son was a youth pastor working with kids. And one of the things he's been doing is he's been running these Tough Mudders himself. And he has been giving and trying to raise awareness for and giving the money that he earns from these things and gets for people sponsoring him to develop and to bring new water wells to rural areas in Africa. And so after having seen her son do it in 2019, Mildred ran her first race. They call her Muddy Mildred now, which is funny if you get the context of what it means. And she has now run 3 races. She finished her first one. Her late husband got to see her do her first one, and then now she's done 2 since. And she has joined her son's efforts in trying to raise money to bring clean water to various rural villages in Africa. One of her direct statements is that I will get muddy so that others can drink clean water. One of the villages that she's specifically working with right now and trying to get them clean water for, if their area basically has kind of a dirty well where the water that they're getting looks like the water she crawls through in the Tough Mudders. And no telling what other chemicals and what other issues that water has. And so if they don't use that particular water, this particular village has to literally cross a mountain range to get to the other side to find another well. And so, she's doing some great work. They've raised quite a bit of money for this, and they do these 5K Tough Mudders in order to make certain that various villages in Africa get clean water.
Wow, that's pretty amazing to be able to do something like that.
Absolutely. What's your next one?
Yeah, so the next one, everyone has heard of the game Call of Duty.
Yeah.
If you haven't, you've been sitting underneath a rock. Now, I myself can't play it because of I get motion sickness from playing those games. But if I could play those video games, that's probably the video game I would play. Now, what I didn't realize is that this game was released in 2003. And this is where they say that video gamers learn from World War II through this game. Now, if you have been sitting underneath the rock, this game is actually holding the Guinness Book of World Records for the best-selling game of its kind. But it's not the game itself that has caught the attention of the news. It's that Activision Blizzard with CEO Bobby Kotick last month announced that the Call of Duty Endowment has now placed 100,000 veterans into meaningful employment. And even better than that, they did it 2 years ahead of schedule.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Which is pretty awesome, yes. And so in celebration of that, they actually have committed an additional $30 million for this program. Now, in the last 12 years, they've worked with all kinds of nonprofits in the United States and the UK to help place veterans in high-value jobs, which are what the veterans are asking. They're asking for meaningful, high-value jobs, which is pretty awesome. He goes on to explain that they've already invested over $60 million and hoping to reach another 50,000 new jobs.
That's awesome.
Of the $125,000 that they gave to the Paralyzed Veterans of America, in 2009 they helped place thousands of veterans that were returning from the Middle East. Vet Jobs, which is money that was also given, helped place 48,000 of the 77,000 placed in these jobs. And now to put that in perspective, currently the United States Marine Corps currently has 178,000 active duty Marines, and they've already helped out 100,000 veterans.
Yeah.
So let's just kind of put a little more perspective into that. And in the last 12 years, they also did some research, and they showed that the modest individualized assistance in helping with improving interview skills and resume skills, and if they had like a coach or a mentor, that helped them find more impactful jobs.
Nice.
And that they would be twice as likely to find these jobs.
Yeah.
So if anybody's interested in looking, I'm not necessarily advocating for anything in particular, but go check out the Call of Duty Endowment and see the awesome things that they're doing, plus you could do.
Yeah, very cool. Very cool. Speaking of people doing good things, I want to tell you about an Irish lady, and her name is Frances Connolly, and her husband's name is Patrick, and he bought a lottery ticket and won, and ended up winning what would be in our currency $145 million.
Wow.
Which is crazy.
Wait, they won that off a lottery ticket?
They won that off of a lottery ticket. And this lady, Frances, has been since a child. She calls herself basically a charity addict.
Okay.
And so since she was a kid, even little kid, she was working for places like St. John's Ambulance. She was setting up helplines for people who had gotten AIDS when she was a student in Belfast. She's been doing all sorts of great charity work for really all of her life. And now that they've won this amount of money, she's already given almost half of it away. Wow. She's already given like $70+ million away to different charities, proving that, I mean, this is what she's about. She's super excited to be able to participate in this. Her husband has had to temper her a little bit because she's trying to give away literally everything that they have and everything that they just got. So he has set her up on a charity giving allowance.
Okay.
And so a certain amount of money is allocated to Frances every single year to be able to participate in this. And she's already spent and given away all of her allowance through the year 2032.
Okay.
Which sounds like not really an allowance because she's just spending money, right? Her husband has asked her to document how much she gives away, which she refuses to do because she's worried that when he sees her documentation, he's going to look at her and be like, you got to slow down or we're not going to have anything left. So she just doesn't document it and just keeps spending,
wow.
Which sounds like a lot of people that I know, only she's doing it for charity, right?
Yeah.
She's giving it to others. It's a really, really interesting story, but one of the things that she talked about was she was asked if she had any advice about what would she tell the person who wins the next lottery. And essentially, the summary of what she said was this, that the money is going to expose who you already are. And so if you're stupid, you're going to be stupid with money. If you're a good person, you're going to be a good person with money. That it just reveals the character that you already have, which I thought was a really profound comment. Regarding her winning. Man, I love getting to tell these stories. And normally what we do kind of here at the end is we kind of challenge our folks, to like get out and do some things. I was going to throw out something different this month and just say most of our kids are either getting out of school over the next week or so. This is us filming this in mid-May, or getting out in early June. Some schools will be getting out then. A lot of these kids are dependent upon the school for lunches, breakfast, and different things like that. And so one of the things that I would encourage our people to do over the summer is to get involved with different food organizations that provide food to those, especially who are in need of that, to get involved with soup kitchens, to get involved with different food banks that get these things, get food into the hands of those who need it, because this is actually a time of the year when many of our kids will go without the food that they were dependent upon.
Yeah.
And so to the Madera Companies folks, if you're looking for an idea on a place where you can serve in your community, this is a great one as we enter into the summer.
Yeah, and if you remember, I always say even a small
Yep.
gesture can go away. I mean, so even if it's an hour a week,
Yeah.
$5. $5. Yeah, this could provide so many meals for these kids.
Absolutely.
And especially having known what that feels like to be in that position. So that's a pretty good cause to search for.
Yeah. Hey, thank you guys for joining us. Thank you for being here. We hope you are encouraged. Hope you are thinking about ways in which you can care for other people. And this has been Good Stories.
Yes, thank you.